Oh, hey there, spooky listener. Good news. You still have some time before the episode starts if you want to scroll up and hit that follow or subscribe button, depending on whatever platform you're listening to this on. We have no preference, they're all good. If you're feeling really generous, you can even leave us a little review. We like 5-star ones the best. And tell us why you like the podcast. If you don't like the podcast, that's cool, but why are you listening? There's loads of other stuff to listen to out there. If you want to send us a little more detailed feedback, we have a dedicated email address. It's rowanandpinepod@gmail.com. The and is spelled out, so it's Rowan, A-N-D, pinepod@gmail.com. And also, please use that for spooky stories and encounters and stuff that you just want us to talk about on the pod. And failing all that, if email's not really your thing, you can always find the links to any of our socials in the link tree that's in the description of every episode. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Discord, whatever it is that you like to use. And make sure to tag us if you're recommending the pod. Also memes. Did you get all that? Good. Okay, start the intro music.
Let's do this.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Emily was just saying she is not down with the sickness.
I'm not down with the sickness, but I do still have the sickness.
Yeah. Wow.
So for anybody who watched our live, it was like a week ago as we're talking about this, but when this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks ago almost.
Mm-hmm. It was like the 2nd of December.
Yeah, I was sick for the live, and I'm still sick.
Yeah, but you seem a lot better now.
So,
but yeah.
I'm not it's not as debilitating as it felt at that day.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you for powering through.
Thank you.
Otherwise, it would have been very boring if it was just me on my own.
It doesn't need reading a story. Medardo said that too, though. He was like, "I'm glad you did it anyway," and I was like, "Thanks." I was just laying in bed,
I was really brave.
Yeah, I was so brave. I went and sat and read A Christmas Story.
You're like, have you seen that video of the people singing to their pit bull? She's so brave. She's well behaved. No. She is not afraid. Their pit bulls are afraid of lifts or elevators for the Americans, and they have to sing this song to her every time she gets in. She's very cute. But yeah, people were just like, I'm just adopting that for me, going to work. It's so brave.
I need that for me when I get on an elevator.
Are you scared of elevators?
I'm not really afraid of elevators, but I have nightmares about elevators all the time.
Weird.
Which is weird.
That is.
They're either flying up out of control or they're falling out of control. So whenever I'm on them, I'm a little uneasy because I'm like, what if all those dreams were premonitions and this is my moment?
Yeah, that's horrible. I don't I'm not really afraid of them, but I don't love them,
Yeah. And I never thought that because most of the dreams would be elevators going up out of control. It's 10% of the time they're falling.
Yeah.
But, so for a long time I was like, well, it's not that scary because elevators don't go up out of control. And then there was a story.
Oh no.
Where that very thing happened and people were seriously injured.
Oh, shit.
Because it went and it slammed into stuff and the people flew into the ceiling and it just was really bad. And I'm like, so this does happen.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But anyway.
There's that film, I keep going to call it I Saw the Devil. I don't think it's called I Saw the Devil. I think that's a Korean film.
I Saw the Elevator?
No, but it's basically it's people trapped in an elevator with the devil, and it's a kind of a whodunit. You don't know who it is, but there's all this telekinesis and kind of stuff in it.
That sounds interesting, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's M. Night Shyamalan film.
Oh, okay.
Immediately not interested anymore.
Oh no, I feel like it makes sense. It sounds like something that he would make.
Yeah. To be fair, he has good ideas for films, and The Sixth Sense is great.
That's what I thought people liked him, and then I heard people talking. They were like, "Oh, him," and I was like, "Wait, we don't like him."
He had a few films that were a bit stupid after Sixth Sense, and then it was sort of because that was known for such a big twist. Then he was trying to shoehorn a twist into every film that he made, and for some people it was kind of I don't know. But I like Sixth Sense and I like The Village with Joaquin Phoenix.
I saw The Happening, I think that's what it was
Where
called.
the trees attack people.
Yeah. Where the trees like put out that, spoiler alert, where the trees like were emitting the thing that would make people take their own lives. My cousin and I saw it in the theater, and I remember we walked outside and like the wind blew and we both were kind of just like
heebie-jeebies.
It like gets you like a little freaked out.
It does. I can remember it having like a pretty cool like opening scene, because I think it all like just comes out of nowhere and there's like a lady on a bench. But I have not seen it in years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I remember when it came out and like me going like, this is the stupidest thing, and then our mutual friend CJ gave me like a complete dissertation on why it's a fantastic film, and I was like, I still don't get it, CJ. I'm really sorry. I don't know. There was obviously something that went really over my head. So,
well, I think the scary part was that it was kind of like the Earth has had enough and it's fighting back. And I think that can be the thing that kind of like gets to you, because it's like, this seems a little like it could happen.
Yeah, it's like justified. My God.
Right.
We're always talking like here about how terrible people are to the planet and animals and all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
I feel like we're kind of low energy for an opening. We're both like, yeah.
Sorry, I'm still sick. What's your excuse? No.
It's Friday night.
Oh yeah, work. True.
Oh, yeah. But we want to do a little bit of housekeeping. I know we don't normally do housekeeping. Housekeeping. That was my first ever job. We don't normally do housekeeping on our episodes, but we got like a really, really sweet and well worded and well thought out email from a listener last week about some of the topics that we sort of like did not handle correctly, and we misspoke, and we were obviously just like in the rhythm of like chatting shit to each other, and we talked sort of before our brains were engaged.
Well, our listener who wrote to us, their name is Sadie. And as we emailed them and, you know, we apologized and stuff like that. And something that we said was, we sort of get, you know, like when you talk to your friends, you're not super formal. You're not really thinking about the fact that an entire audience is listening. The email was about autism when we were talking about like Doc Martin and various other, not like crime shows, but just kind of like...
We were talking about like that
drama shows.
Yeah, that trend in TV where there's obviously this, you know, very strong personality type being portrayed. And we were talking about how that person doesn't handle emotions and isn't able to understand or portray emotions properly. But
and that they're not able to connect with like your average person and when I say average person, I mean like
neurotypical person.
Yeah, neurotypical. I was going to say neurodivergent. I was like, that's not the right word. That's the one we're talking about. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just the way that they can't connect with neurotypical people in the same way, because just the way that they think and the way that they perceive emotions and stuff like that is just like different.
Yeah. And we're speaking from neurotypical perspectives. Like Emily and I are both neurotypical. So
I was saying is like, so we were talking about these shows and I said that these people like can't understand emotions. And then I said they're heavily autistic. And our new friend Sadie said that heavily autistic isn't a thing. And I just talking to Neve, I think because we're friends and we just talk and we kind of chat. But like I said, you forget that you're talking to an audience. I think I knew that she knew what I meant, but like the general, like broader audience might not know what I mean.
Yeah, we're not speaking in a vacuum. So we have to give context to things that we're saying and I know how annoying it can be when you're watching something or listening to someone and they're giving constant disclaimers, but every now and then disclaimers are necessary. Like we probably should be a little bit better about doing that. And we're also not saying that we know everything, and we also always welcome education and criticism and feedback.
As long as you're nice.
Yeah, no.
If you're mean, I'm going to shut down. I will not respond well.
Yeah, we're also pretty bad about taking criticism because we're people pleasers. So
Yeah.
thanks especially to Sadie for wording that so beautifully, and for just coming from a place of wanting to educate and not scold or anything like that.
Round of applause for Sadie. I think that Sadie went about it really well. I understand that we have to be educated, and that you and I talking on a podcast, you know, this goes public. So many people hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to be more mindful of that. And a lot of our listeners like know us, but we are starting to see that like some people don't know us, which is really interesting because I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah.
Strangers are hearing my voice.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that people know that we are not trying to be ignorant or malicious in any way.
Yeah.
And that if we misspeak, it is genuinely because we don't know or...
We babbled, but thank you, Sadie. And thanks to anybody who is like might have like been like saddened or upset by that, but you're still here. We love you.
Oh wait, we have more housekeeping.
Yes, and that other lighter bit of housekeeping is we keep like each time we've recorded since this went out, we have gone, oh crap, we never thanked the No Other Crack podcast. They are a local podcast to me in Donegal. And it is two women around the same age as Emily and I, Trish or Patricia, I don't know. She goes by Trish on the podcast, but then Marie calls her Patricia, and Marie. And during their Halloween episodes, they very kindly sent us a message and asked for a clip of Rowan and Pine to play on their podcast, which was so sweet because their podcast isn't folklore based or anything like that. They're sort of like a news magazine kind of show. It's a really good show to listen to, especially if you're like me and you work from home, because it's sort of like a chatty conversation in the background that it's like, it doesn't have a plot that you have to like follow, and you can sort of tune in and out a little bit. But yeah, that was really, really lovely of them, and we appreciate it so much. And it was really nice to hear our voices on somebody else's podcast. It was just a weird, it was like a weird novelty to hear that.
It's like, hold on.
So thank you to Trish and Marie, and I'll leave a link to their Instagram so you can go and follow them or like check out their podcast, because they'll have it all linked on their Instagram as well in the description of our episode.
And if you're like me, you think that it says No Other Craig.
Yeah. So it's like the kind of, it's not even Hiberno-Irish. It's like a weird colloquial spelling of the word crack, C-R-A-I-C. But crack is like the Irish and Northern English term for fun or news or happenings. So it's sort of like them getting together to talk about pop culture. So it's like No Other Crack, which is kind of what we say conversationally here in Donegal, which is very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't say it here. So
yeah.
Thank you for explaining that.
And now I'm going to teach Emily about
what?
Jack Frost.
Yay! I'm actually really excited for this.
Oh, I'm glad. This is one of those ones that, like, you know, when it comes to you and you're like, yes, that'll be such an interesting episode. And then I like started looking into it, and there was a few surprises along the way, but a lot of Norse mythology, which you and I both like. So
that's so cool.
This
would not have even been an idea that I would think could be an episode, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, well, like, I was almost, like, disappointed because I was, like, you'll see when I get into it, because I was like, oh, there has to be more than this, but then, like, if you explore it a little bit more, there's a lot that we can talk about.
Okay.
So Jack Frost, he's sort of like a personification of the weather phenomenon of frost, and of, like the freezing grass and the frost on your windscreens and on your cars and on the paths and all of that.
On the what?
Paths.
I thought you said the pats.
On the
like
pats?
P-A-T-S.
No, not on your pats.
I was like, who's Pat?
On your cow pat? No. Gross. So what was interesting is there are more characters associated with winter elements in folklore than any other season.
Really?
Yeah. Some of them that came up in my research were Old Man Winter, who Emily taught us about last year, Dead Moroz. There is Snow Queens, Ice Maidens, Mother Holle, who I think sounds so interesting. I don't think we've really covered her. We might have mentioned her here and there.
I don't.
Who's also...
That doesn't sound familiar.
She's also known as Mother Hulda and Old Mother Frost.
Okay.
She was immortalized in a Grimm Brothers tale, but she comes from like an old German folktale. Hala is the goddess to whom children who died as infants go. She's also known as the Dunkel Großmutter, which translates to dark grandmother, or the Weiße Frau, who's the white lady. Or in some traditions, she is Perkta.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we have talked about that before.
yeah, you covered Perkta. She seems to show up quite a lot. So I was like, right, there's all of these characters. Jack Frost must be like a well-known one. What was interesting is he's not actually a character from folklore or mythology. He is just a turn of phrase that emerged around the 18th century.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the very first literary reference to Jack Frost was in a book called Roundabout Our Coal Fire, or Christmas Entertainments from 1734. That book also contains the first ever printed telling of Jack and the Beanstalk.
What's up with the name Jack?
I know. That story, Jack and the Beanstalk, was actually originally called The Story of Jack Spriggins and the Enchanted Bean.
Yeah, I like Jack and the Beanstalk better.
Yeah. Enchanted Bean sounds like
so funny.
Some sort of a innuendo, I guess.
We have the bean here in Chicago, so...
Oh, yeah.
Which is... I'm just going to start calling it the Enchanted Bean. Did you ever hear about that artist who made the bean in Chicago?
No.
So he's a huge dick.
Oh, really?
And the sculpture is technically called Cloudgate.
Right.
And he's like very, very pissed off that people call it the bean.
Well, you made a giant bean, dude. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
What do you think is going to happen? Yeah. Cloudgate.
Actually, I often wonder this. How is it so, like, shiny? Like, does it not get stained from, like, rain or snow or anything? Do they clean it?
Well, it's so funny. We were downtown last week, and we saw them. They had it closed down, and they were, like, cleaning it.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, when you go to it, there's handprints and stuff all over.
Okay, because every time I've seen, like, people take photos at it or anything like that, I'm always like, that's so shiny. Like, what did they put on it? Like,
yeah, it is very shiny.
Yeah.
But that same artist, he invented the Vanta Black, which is, have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but explain. It's like the darkest.
Yeah, it's like, it is the blackest black because it's like a technology and it doesn't absorb any light at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looks like a hole.
Yeah.
So like whatever you paint, it's like a black hole basically. Well, not basically, but it looks like a black hole. And he didn't want anybody else to use it, so he like bought the rights to it or something like that, and he won't let anybody else use it. And he's just...
What a dick.
He's just he's a prick. We don't like him.
He's like, how can you be an artist and be so controlling? Like, your art's supposed to be there for people to consume, so you can't like get mad that they're calling your artwork the wrong name or that people want to use your color. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so he's kind of a jerk and we don't like him. So, Enchanted Bean it is.
Yeah. Probably the best illustration of how Jack Frost is like a personification of the winter elements is in the poem called Jack Frost by Hannah F. Gould. So the poem goes like this. The frost looked forth one still clear night and whispered, now I shall be out of sight. So through the valley and over the height, in silence I'll take my way. I will not go on like that blustering train, the wind and the snow, the hail and the rain, that make such a bustle and a noise in vain, but I'll be as busy as they. So he flew to the mountain and powdered its crest, he lit on the trees, and their boughs he dressed, with diamonds and pearls, and over the breast of the quivering lake he spread a coat of mail, that it need not fear the downward point of many a spear, that he hung on its margin far and near, where a rock could rear its head. He went to the windows of those who slept, and over each pane like a fairy crept. Wherever he breathed, wherever he stepped, by the light of the morn were seen most beautiful things were there flowers and trees. There were bevies of birds and swarms of bees. There were cities with temples and towers, and these all pictured in silvery sheen. But he did one thing that was hardly fair. He peeped in the cupboard, and finding there that all had forgotten for him to prepare, now just to set them a-thinking. I'll bite this basket of fruit, said he, this costly pitcher I'll burst in three, and the glass of water they left for me shall chick to tell them I'm drinking. So that's like, he's sort of mischievous. He's an artist. He likes to make things beautiful, but also I think the reference to like biting the fruit is how like, you know, like food can get frostbitten or like freezer burnt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite sweet. So we see these sort of themes coming on wherever Jack Frost is depicted. He's sort of like this young sprite kind of a figure. Like he's like a mischievous fairy, and he's like there to wreak havoc. Like he'll make the roads like icy, and like he'll like freeze the trees and all of that kind of stuff.
Makes you get out the windshield scraper.
Mm-hmm. He's just sort of like an inconvenience more than anything.
Right.
So after that very first mention in Roundabout Our Coldfire, there are various mentions and references in newspapers and journals. Just to go through some of them really quick. In 1765, somebody wrote a letter to the editor signed by Jack Frost. People are crazy. They didn't have TV.
This is the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah. It went like, what was it? Within like freaking 100 years, it was Jack the Ripper writing letters to the editor.
Another Jack.
Yeah,
causing
my
trouble.
God.
The Jack-o'-lantern.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, too many Jacks. Can we?
Yeah.
Let's pick a new name.
Yeah, there has to be. Like, there's lots of names in the world.
How about Greg?
Greg. I think Greg was our original like guy from work name. Greg from work.
Yeah, that's like my go-to. I'm like freaking Greg.
I thought it might even because we were watching Succession as well.
Wait, who is he in Succession again?
Greg.
Was he kind of like the dopey cousin guy?
Yeah,
okay.
Cousin Greg. Can't make a Tomlet without breaking some Gregs.
Also, like, I need you to remember that I watched Succession when my daughter was like a month old.
You were severely sleep deprived. I remember you sending me messages, and I was like, just stick with it. And I was like, and you were like, it's so complicated. And I was like, no, it's complicated even when you're not sleep deprived. Keep making
and I think I
references.
Oh my God, that was the worst. And then I think I fell asleep for like 3 episodes or something. I just like knocked out. And then I was like, do I go back? Nah.
Why are they in Italy at a wedding? Where did this come from?
He killed someone?
Wedding is this? Yeah. What happened on those cruise ships?
Yeah.
My God. Good show though. And they weren't done writing things in like the voice of Jack. In 1785, Jack Frost had an advice column to all honest hearts at this nipping season. A New Year's
Colonel
song.
all over again.
Yeah. Colonel.
Hull honest.
Hull honest. He started getting mentioned in like weather reports, in like sporting like magazines. In 1858, they gave him a wife. Jack Frost's wife was Betty Snow.
Okay. Why was her last name not Frost?
Who knows? Maybe she's feminist.
Yeah. She came with her own name.
Good for her.
Snaps for you, girly.
There was actually a book starring them by John F. Chanter. They were capricious spirits who froze everything and killed people. So we're moving away from the mischievous little trickster.
It's not a frozen apple anymore.
Yeah, Jesus. In 1861 and 1864, he's aging, so he appears for the first time in cartoons. I'm not talking about like animated cartoons. For those listening, I'm talking about like cartoons that are in newspapers.
Like comics?
Yeah. Yeah, they've written cartoons here. Maybe they should have said comics. He appears as a fearsome bearded general bristling with icicles, drawn by Thomas Nast in Harper's Weekly. They mentioned him as the frigid embrace of Jack Frost.
Ooh.
Then he starts to de-age again towards the end of the century. In 1875, there was a poem called Little Jack Frost by Charles Sangster, and he is described as a nose-biting, prank-playing creature capering wildly through storm and sleet. And he's finally ousted by Mother Nature, who clearly must be done with his shit.
She's like, I'm sick of you.
Quit it. It's only in 1889 that he starts to get associated with Christmas. And he is a neighbor of Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the wife has disappeared. Don't know, did they get divorced? Did they legally separated? Did she realize he's a child? She's like, I can't keep up. One day he's like an old man, then the next he's a teenager, and he keeps biting my nose.
She goes, I'm married to a daddy, and then all of a sudden...
Yeah, she just can't put up with it anymore.
Yeah.
And then in 1934, he appears for the first time as a weird but friendly little gnome armed with a paintbrush and palette. But his nemesis is Old Man Winter, so you get a separation of his identities. It's so weird how these figures, like, they can be like blended together but also separated. You know, they can be different parts. Like, we had a lot in our Crossroads episodes, like different facets of the same being.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you'd think that Jack Frost and Old Man Winter were kind of the same person, but...
Yeah, like father and son or something as well.
Right.
Yeah, he appears more in like art and magazine covers. And then probably the most famous mention came in 1945. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Oh, she's doing it.
Frost nipping at your nose.
I think they say nip in. No,
nip in. So yeah, that was probably the most famous mention of Jack Frost, and he really became part of the lexicon then. And then there's not a whole lot until 2011 when...
I'm sorry, hold on. Michael Keaton.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
I'm like, there was a mention of Jack Frost, and it was
Holy
Michael
shit.
Keaton.
The most emotionally devastating film.
That was pretty bad. Yeah,
oh my
I remember
God.
watching it as a kid, being like, "Oh, cute! It's gonna be like a Christmas movie," and then it's like, "Oh no, oh no."
Oh God. Yeah.
What year was that?
I don't know.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, because the next I have is like 2011, because that was the only thing I could really think of then. Because like the article that I had cut off in 1945, and I was like, well, that's definitely not the last mention of him in pop culture.
Yeah. So there's the Jack Frost, which was like more of a horror movie.
Oh yeah.
And that was in 97, and then this Jack Frost with Michael Keaton was in 98.
98. Okay. So we jump from 1945 to 1998. I'm sure there are things that like popped up in between then that I just don't really know about. Or like maybe they're like US centric that I don't know about. But probably
we were watching the I don't know if you know them. They're kind of like the classic Christmas claymation movies, the Rankin Bass movies, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and stuff like that.
I've seen GIFs. Like people seem to make a lot of like parodies out of them. Like I've never actually seen one of the films. Yeah, I've seen like GIFs of like people making Rudolph swear and stuff.
Oh, okay. So they're like the claymation movies, and we were watching them. We were watching a couple the other night, and there's are they called the Miser Brothers? But it's like the Heat Miser and the Snow Miser, and the Snow Miser is basically like Jack Frost, and their mom is Mother Nature.
Oh,
so he's kind of mentioned there, but not by name, not by his government name.
Yeah. In 2011, a book series was published called The Guardians of Childhood, and it was immediately picked up for adaptation into a DreamWorks movie called Rise of the Guardians.
Of course.
And Jack Frost was like the breakout star in that. I remember like girls in their like late teens being like obsessed with that character, like writing fan fiction for him.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this at all, and I need to look it up. What is it called?
Because he's portrayed. It's called Rise of the Guardians. And the books are by William Joyce.
Oh my god, it like immediately pops up Jack Frost.
Yeah. So Jack Frost, and he's like portrayed as a teenager, and of course like he's got like the emo haircut and like,
yeah, he's like a cute little boy.
Yeah. But I remember like the Tumblr girls were going feral for Jack Frost. Oh my god. And I was like, am I missing like what? You know. But apparently,
he's kind of like when boys started wearing eyeliner and girls were just like, oh my god.
My whole brain chemistry has just changed.
They're like, what is happening to me?
I will never be the same again.
Yeah.
Pete Wentz did what?
Yeah. I remember, I think it started with like Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
called
weird.
A guyliner?
Oh god. Because God forbid it's eyeliner.
Yeah.
that's just used on a face that's attached to a penis somewhere.
What were you saying about Johnny Depp?
No, because like my friends all had a crush on Johnny Depp, but we were like 12 or something. Like we were young when that movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, do you guys understand? This man is like your father's age.
I know.
But yeah, it was like, oh my God, the eyeliner.
Yeah.
And then Billy Joe Armstrong and stuff. It's like, okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it.
Yeah, it was a real thing there for a while. And then like I have like vivid memories of putting it on like guys in school. I'm like, you know, like it's going to be so hot. Just let me put eyeliner on you. And like convincing guys, and like everybody would get like, everybody's like eyes would be like streaming tears, and all the girls would be like, yeah, like it's amazing. Like it just changes your face.
Yeah.
There's like, if you look back
great.
then, it was probably like some guy was just desperate for some female attention. Oh, bless.
Oh my gosh. Good times. Good times
Yeah.
when we had Guyliner and we're all into emo boys.
Yeah, my God.
It's like they're in touch with their sensitive side, which honestly is attractive. It's like if you're in touch with your emotions, I dig it.
And then all the music they listen to is horribly misogynistic. All of us listening to like songs about like murdering their girlfriends and burying them in the woods and stuff. We're like, yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm so edgy.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, some of that stuff, it still slaps. Like, great songs.
It does. It does.
So beyond like those mentions of Jack Frost and like Rise of the Guardians, etc., I wanted to know if there is any actual basis in folklore. Did he come from somewhere? Because we know when the first like literary mention of him was, but did that person just pull it out of the air or what?
Yeah.
Are you
I
giggling
imagine I just imagine you pose that question and then you're like, and that's the end of the episode. Everybody write in.
And no, he didn't.
No, you did like ask the question to the audience. You're like, so what do you think?
What do you think? Make up your own
Fuck
mind.
yeah, folklore. Goodbye.
It's like I watch like Philip DeFranco for like news roundups before, like while I'm eating my breakfast, and it drives you nuts. At the end of every news segment, he goes, "And now I'm going to pass this question off to you. What do you think?" And he's like, "I fucking hate that." I'm like, he does it for engagement, so people will comment, and the more people comment, like, you know, the better it'll show up on the algorithm. Right. It's like, yeah, but it's just so fucking annoying. It sounds like he's on the fence the whole time. But I think he hates Philip DeFranco because he used to watch him like years ago when his whole channel was about Megan Fox when Ewan was like 19 or something. Oh God. And then he saw him like when I started watching him when he's like doing like proper news roundups and like doing like deep dives and things. He's like, what the fuck happened?
You're like, he's matured.
Yeah, thank God.
He's joined my side.
Yes. So some like folklore characters or deities, or I don't like saying the word characters because it sounds like trivializing them when like a lot of people believe in these things.
Like but, it sounds like a written, like a made up from a movie kind of a thing.
Yeah. They'd probably have like the most in common with Jack Frost. So we have in northern Russia and Finland, there's an almighty deity known as Frostman. He's not a superhero.
He doesn't have an F on his chest.
Cool. Yeah, just a giant F. Just shooting icicles out of his hands like Spider-Man. He commanded the weather and was given sacrifices by reindeer herders to persuade him to lessen the severity of blizzards. Poor reindeer. Okay. Villagers would leave bowls of porridge for the Frostman to ensure their crops weren't touched by the damaging frost.
Did they make sure to put butter on it?
Yeah, there's no mention of butter, but yeah, like I feel like people put too much stock in how much fairy and fae creatures like porridge.
It makes sense why we like it.
Yeah. In Japanese folklore, the Frostman was a malicious character and the brother of the Mistman, and they were both keepers of the frost and dew. Okay. Many sources connect him to a Norse deity called Jökulfrosti, who we're going to talk about a lot later. But this has sort of been debunked. Jökulfrosti as a singular character doesn't actually exist, and he doesn't have a clear connection to Jack Frost. But we're going to talk about him anyway to see where this came from, because I was like, but who is Jökulfrosti? I want to know.
I need to know more.
So we're going to bring it back for Jökulfrosti a few generations. In Norse and Germanic mythology, we have the Jotun, that's the Old Norse, or in the English, it's Eoten, E-O-T-E-N.
Okay.
And they're collectively known as the Jotnar. And that is the race of giants in Norse mythology. So in Norse mythology, there are gods, humans, dwarves, elves, trolls, and giants. So the Jotnar are giants.
Perfect.
Is this sounding familiar to you at all?
It is.
Yeah. So giants. The word Jotnar became synonymous with giants, but it actually means devourer. And when Vikings settled in northern France, they intermingled the French word géant, which came from the root word was Titan with Jotun. So devourer and giant came to mean basically the same thing.
Okay.
Jotnar typically dwell across boundaries that cannot be traversed by usual means from the gods and humans in lands such as the Jotunheimr, which is one of the 9 realms, described as dark, old, and desolate in Norse mythology. The giants themselves are defined by their enormous size and quote-unquote ugly features, like fangs. I think fangs are cool.
I'm like, ugly.
Yeah, and green skin. But many of them are actually, even though they're called giants, they're the same size as their god counterparts. And interestingly, giantesses are described as being extraordinarily beautiful, and many of them intermarried with Asgardian gods in Norse legends.
Okay.
So if you think of them as like the opposite of gods, where the gods represent order, the Jotnar represent chaos. And in a lot of the legends, they are the antagonists to the heroes that we're probably a bit more familiar with, like Odin, Thor, and Freyja. Can you tell I looked up a Icelandic pronunciation guide?
I was going to say, wow, look at you.
Actually, a quick shout out to Hrafna on YouTube, because she has made a 3-part video series on how you're supposed to be pronouncing Norse mythology, because she got so annoyed after watching the Marvel movies. She's
That's
like, this
amazing.
is because of Chris Hemsworth. She's so mad at him.
That is amazing. I love that. I also it just makes me happy that people out there will make pronunciation videos, because I've tried to look up so many different pronunciations and everybody's like, no, you don't need to know that.
Yeah. There were actually a few to do with, because I wanted to make sure I had the 9 realms correct. And there was one all of Swedish pronunciation by a girl called Helen. And then there was one of like Icelandic pronunciations. And the argument was that Icelandic is closer to Old Norse and is more accurate, but I'm not going to start an Iceland-Sweden feud here, so please direct any of your tweets to those countries. So we mentioned earlier the 9 realms. So Jotunheimr was the realm where the Jotnar resided. The other realms were Ausgarder, or Asgard. That is the near-perfect home of the Aesir deities. Mithgarder, or Midgard, which is the land of humans where we live. Alfheimr, which is the home of the elves. Hel, which is a resting place for the dead. Vanaheim, which is the world of the magical Vanir deities. This is the hard one. Neithhavetlir, which is the subterranean realm of the dwarves.
Okay.
The one that I famously mispronounced last season, it's not Niflheim. It's Niflheimr. It's what song is it from? It's the frigid land of the ice and snow. Is it? Oh my god, it's Led Zeppelin. Fuck. Come from the land of the ice and snow.
Yeah, I hear it. I just...
Immigrant Song? No, it's not Immigrant Song. I'm going to have to look it up, because people are going to be
Look
screaming.
it up. Do, 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 do.
Oh, it is Immigrant Song. I was right.
You were right.
Wow, should have trusted myself. And then the last of the 9 realms is Muspelheimr, which is the realm of heat and flame. The 9 realms hung on the branches or else grew from the roots of the tree of life called Yggdrasil, which gave structure and form to the cosmos. And then just as like a subcategory, Jotunheimr along with Hell constitutes the other world. So Hell, as I said, like is a resting place for the dead, and then Jotunheimr is where the frost giants lived. So
The frost giants.
yeah. So the frost giants and the fire giants are the 2 different classes of giants. The fire giants are only really known for setting fire to the 9 realms during Ragnarok. But the frost giants...
Don't you mean Ragnarok?
Ragnarok? No. And the frost giants are probably the most prominent ones that show up again and again in stories. Like with all of our faves.
The faves.
The faves. But back to Jack. So in Norse mythology, the god Kari is the god of the north wind and the oldest son of Mistblindi, an ancient frost giant who's also known as Fornjotr. These are all so much fun to say.
Is that sarcasm?
No, honestly, like if you can see,
Okay.
if they're easy to pronounce, they're fun to pronounce. But if they're not easy to pronounce, you're like, oh shit.
When it's like a lot of consonants, you're just like tripping over the words.
Yeah. Kari's two brothers were Logi, not to be confused with Loki. Logi was an ancient fire god, and Aegir was the god of the sea. And something interesting about Kari, which we saw earlier in Jack, was he regresses in age and then he ages again. So in the spring, he returns to the form of a slender, androgynous youth. And then throughout the year, he ages until he is a bearded old man in winter.
Well,
so it's almost like he mirrors the change of the north wind from a cooling breeze into the bringer of like bitter blizzards.
Yeah.
And then similar to the Frostman, a reindeer is his symbol. And if you wanted to hang a shrine to Kari, you can hang a reindeer ornament and he'll be happy, which is, a bit easier than like sacrificing reindeer.
Yeah.
But where it comes into like this episode is Kari actually had two sons. One of them was named Frosty and the other was named Jökull. So Frosty just means frost and Jökull means icicle. So these were two different people. Whereas people sort of amalgamated them into one person as the son of Kari. So if you actually look into the mythology, there's two different people. So Jökull in particular was a nymph-like creature who painted, those beautiful frosty patterns on windows.
Yeah.
I love those so much. There was one on my car the last day and I was like, I don't want to like get rid of it. It's so beautiful.
Right. I always want to take pictures of all those things.
Yeah.
And then I just have all these pictures on my phone.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, look at this leaf. Or like, look at this snowflake.
Mm-hmm. So Jökull was the one who's responsible for painting those on windows during the night. And he was described as the personification of the chill that arrived with winter and nipped at the noses of the children with his icy bite.
Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Yeah. As I mentioned before, people tend to amalgamate the two brothers. So Jökull Frosty was actually sometimes seen as a more frightening figure. He would bring darkness and bitter cold with him. In Finland and Russia, we can see a similar dual presentation. So in Finnish folklore, there is the Pakaspoika, which translates to the Frost Boy, who's a young boy who makes people's fingers and toes cold in winter and he freezes the land in late autumn. He's described in legends as the son of evil parents and the hero or champion of evil. In the same way, it was believed that in later times, Jack Frost has to just be an innocent trickster because nobody who could paint such beautiful patterns on windows and glass could be fully evil.
Yeah, agreed.
And that, unfortunately, is all that is known about Jökull Frosty.
Aww.
I thought it was interesting that Jack Frost is a recent creation because it shows the folklore is still developing, really, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna soon, they'll be talking about this and they'll bring up Michael Keaton. So like, and there was a man.
Who was sometimes a Batman. And then he became a snowman.
And other times, a frost man.
A frost man.
With a big F on his chest. And they put a snowflake in the sky to call for him. It starts here, really.
This is Emily's new comic that she's working on.
No, this is my new folklore.
That's my episode on Jack Frost. I just wanted something that was like one of those things that's on your periphery that you never quite look up and you never quite know where it came from. So you decide to look into it. It's interesting that the Frost is always like almost always either a teenage boy or an old man.
I think it makes way more sense that he's an old man.
Mm.
Just because I think that winter is sort of the season that implies old and death.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Like the end of a life cycle, sort of?
Yeah, because everything, well, in the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere gets snow, right?
On their mountains, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a second.
There's snow in New Zealand.
Okay.
Because there's snow in Lord of the Rings.
I know we just, will we get it?
Do
we get it at different times of the year?
Mm-hmm.
I think is what I'm thinking of. It just, because like spring is sort of like the baby season, and then I assume that summer is kind of like childhood, teenagerhood. We're in like our fall phase right now, what age we're at.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'll take the fall phase.
Yeah. And winter is coming.
Winter is definitely coming.
Our hair color is changing, just like the leaves.
Yeah.
Pretty soon it's going to fall out.
Jesus. Mine's already falling.
Mine already did fall out after I had a baby.
So our question for Creature Council this week is, I'm hosting Christmas dinner and my uncle, who always brings strange women to Christmas, is coming. How do I tell him that he can't have a +1? That's from Frazzled in Fermanagh.
In what?
Fermanagh. It's like a county right next to me.
That's so funny. All right. Creature Council coming up.
Who's it gonna be?
I try to like not look at them. Oh my god, it's Krampus.
This is
Krampus.
This is very apt for this episode. We've actually been quite lucky with apart from like Robert the Doll, he didn't really fit, but we've been very lucky with them otherwise.
They've oddly like all worked out except for Robert the Doll.
Well, thankfully, Emily speaks Krampus, so she's going. Oh yeah, Krampus. Yeah, just wait. You can't start talking until Emily translates. Okay.
Hold on.
Wait. Okay, Emily's going to translate Krampus's answer.
Okay. All right, Krampus. Come closer. Not too close. Your breath is a little stinky.
It's all those sheep.
Okay, so... Oh no, hold on. Okay, so Krampus is saying that if the women... Krampus is saying that if the women come and they bring naughty children, that they definitely should come to Christmas. And you should just put them in your naughty children's sack.
So Krampus likes single moms? Is that what he's trying to say?
Okay, Krampus says it depends on how hairy the women are. Because Krampus likes a woman with some hair. Okay, alright.
He's a feminist.
Unshaven is best. Krampus also says that if these women have naughty children, that you should eat them. Okay, Krampus, that's a little weird. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but okay. He also says that if you don't want your uncle to bring a +1, all you have to do is get out the whip. Go outside, get a branch, make sure the branch has like a few little twigs and stuff on it. Okay, and then Krampus, that's a little wild. He's saying that you should whip your uncle? I don't know about this, Krampus. This is okay. Well, that was some weird advice from Krampus. Yeah, we're good.
Okay,
thank you so much.
Hoof prints everywhere.
Appreciate you. There's soot in my house now.
Yeah. Smells like old meat. Anyway. I don't care if nobody likes these videos. I find them very fun.
I know. I'm like, I find this entertaining. So that's all that matters, is that we enjoy it.
Well, as always, if you have any burning questions that you need counsel from a creature please send it to us to our email. You would have heard the email at the top of the episode, and it's also in the description, or any of our social media. We do check those, and follow us there.
We do. Yeah, follow us. Follow us.
You.
Too weird? Too culty? No. Is Rowan and Pine a cult?
Yeah, not yet. We just need more donations.
We need more donations, more followers.
This is actually going to be our last episode before Christmas.
Oh,
because it goes out on the 13th. I'm going to wish you guys a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is you celebrate.
How do you say Merry Christmas in Irish?
Merry Christmas? Do you think I just said it in my own accent?
Yeah. Thought that was your answer. You're like, Merry Christmas.
Oh, fuck, it's Nolig Honna Dave, isn't it?
You're asking the wrong person.
Nolig Honna Dave. I'm not saying it's a Dave. Dave is like the Irish word for y'all. I'm just saying happy Christmas to Dave. But also congratulations to our friend David. You know why.
You know who you are and you know why.
We're not going to say anything else.
that is all.
So yeah, thank you so much for being with us, coming back to us for season 2. If you're new on season 2, we still have more to go.
For sure. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas from us at Rowan and Pine.
Yeah, she's Rowan, I'm Pine.
No, you're Rowan.
We never
I'm
established
Pine.
this. I think somebody said that. Was like, which one's Rowan? We're like, that's not the way it works. It's not like our surnames.
I mean, it kind of is though, because you chose Rowan and then I chose
true.
Pine.
Yeah.
So it's sort of us.
This is such a tangent.
I'm seasonally appropriate right now.
Yes, you are. Yeah. But thanks for joining us so far in 2023. We'll have another episode out for you just before the end of the year. So we'll save our Happy New Year's for then. Get in touch if you have any feedback, any compliments, any questions, anything that you want us to cover. And fuck yeah, Folklore.
Fuck yeah, Folklore. We'll see you after Christmas.
Bye. Goodbye. I was going to do like a Krampus snort, and then I was like, no, don't.